day. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA.
Hi, I'm Connie Brown, and I'm here today in Amarillo with Kelly Giles. Kelly is actually running for the vice chair of the Republican Party of Texas.
That's right.
At the convention that's coming up here in just a few days, the last full week of May.
Yep.
And so we thought maybe some of you might like to get to know a little bit more about Kelly. And so I'm going to be handing some questions over here, Kelly. You got some good answers.
Well, I think the first thing we'll make very clear: I am running for vice chair.
Yes.
Of the Republican Party of Texas.
Yes.
And of course, we're up here in Amarillo, and so it's a long way between here and the other end of the state. But no, we're running. We're in it to win it.
Well, let me ask you. I've got a question here because I have worked with you on some committees. I've worked with you here locally in the Republican Party. You're very involved, of course. You are our county chair in Randall County.
That's right.
And you're also, I believe, the SREC for this district.
Yes, I stepped in. We had our SREC member representative, Tom Warren. He stepped out to run for public office here in Amarillo. And so they needed someone to finish that out, that term. And so I stepped forward to do that. And yes, I'm the county chairman here in Randall County.
Well, now I know you were placed in when there was an early resignation with the last chair, and then you ran. And you won handedly.
Yes, I won on the first ballot with 2 opponents.
Yes.
And I carried every single precinct except one very small precinct that was undecided.
It was a tie.
It was a 3-way tie.
Yeah.
So I'm very happy. Carried every single precinct by good margin. We actually had an above-average turnout for the primary vote. We think we really turn things into a positive direction there. I'm a big proponent of the grand old party system, the old style system. And what that means is you have to give everybody a voice, and you have to have that structure, order, and process in place so everybody's voice can be heard, and so that everybody can disseminate that information and give their discernment. And in doing that, we reinstated the good old debate system. We put together 3 debates.
Wonderful debates.
Oh, they were.
I was at all 3 of them. Really top quality.
Yeah, and that's so key. That is so key to a representative republic that we have debates, because that's the theory, is that the more debates you have, the more the candidates expose their weaknesses and their attributes. And so you're able to make that really good decision based off good information. So we had 3 debates. We included the High Plains Republican Women. They did one for us, the Amarillo Republican Women, and then the Amarillo Pioneer, which is a local online newspaper. But then we had 2 of the local television stations carry debates as well. So we scored big, and we feel like we really did a good job electing people to governance, and that's our goal. Good governance is our goal. And so that's somewhat, when we go into identity politics, I tell people, if you can pivot just a little bit to focus on good governance people through a very strenuous debate system, you're going to have good government.
I think it's just, we as voters have to be informed. We can't just go in and vote for our neighbor. We can't go in and vote for somebody that's got, the best tan. We can't, we've got to really figure this thing out. And so those things are just such an aid to the average voter. I'm going to ask you this because I actually am on our local school board.
Yes, you are.
And so like my school board position, your county chair position, and the SREC position are all volunteer. They're elected, but there's no paycheck.
It's pure public service there.
It's public service. Yep. And I think that's so important. But my question to you is, my understanding is the vice chair is also that type of position. And so what in the world, why are you going, yes.
Don't I already have enough to do?
Don't you have enough to do? I actually know that you're a very busy man, and I want to get to some of your things that you have going on in your world. But what, well, I guess let me ask you this. As in this position as vice chair, what will you actually be doing? I mean, will you just be, is it a small position, or is it one that's going to take quite a bit of time? What are you going to be handling directly as that vice chair?
That is a very good question. A lot of people, I'm a county chair, so I served as a precinct chair for 8 years, and
was that paid?
That was not paid either. No,
I'm joking. I'm joking. I know. Right?
We get paid in
results.
Results. There we go. Good government.
Changing our world.
Yes, and so
one county at a time.
One county at a time. All 254.
Right.
We're coming to see you. We'll be there.
Right.
But I think we have to back up and talk first a little bit about where I'm coming from. I grew up on a large cattle ranching operation, and then went on into be involved in beef packing, National Beef Packers, and did a lot of things there in supply chain development, which takes a lot of communication. We did a lot on the investment side. I was very able to do that job because I felt, I got a great education. I've got an MBA in finance from Texas A&M and a bachelor's in animal science and agriculture from Kansas State University. And I even went to TCU and their ranch management program there. So I feel like I've got a pretty good background. And I think that lays a really good foundation because the two mainstay industries in the world, not just our country, not just in Texas, but is food and energy.
Yes, and I want to get into that, but let's go back so that the people understand what that vice chair actually does. My understanding is you're gonna be on the road a little bit.
Yeah, it is a time-consuming job. So there are many facets to it. So let's just go. We'll just do a enumeration here. So number one. You do have to be support to not only the executive committee. In other words, you've got to carry the water for those resolutions, for that directive from the executive committee at the state level. But then you also have to be that support to the chair. And we're in this together. Elections will come around again in 2 years. But between now and then, you have to support the chair. And but also you have to be able to bring your own perspective to the job. And one of the things the vice chair does is travel around the state and go visit county by county, Senate district by Senate district. You go visit with everybody and just help them with any questions or organizational issues they may have, and see what support you can give them. And I've got a pretty good idea of what the county needs because I'm a county chair, so I understand our issues, whether you're a small county or an urban county. There are multiple Senate districts. When you get into the urban centers, it's a little bit different character than what we experience in the rural areas. But anyway, you're going to be traveling around and communicating with folks, but part of it also is fundraising.
Right, and I was just going to say, because I know you've done, you've been a great part of helping that in our county and to grow what not just the finances, but the influence and the exposure that a lot of people, in a lot of counties maybe don't know that they even have a county office to go to. But that to have someone that's been there and done those things and then can travel to those places and just really be there as a support to the county chairs and to the precinct chairs. I think that's something very great that you bring to the table.
And people, we got to connect with people, but also, there's maybe for a little bit later too, but the unity the unity that comes in with being a vice chair, creating unity. And I know if you're out there, you're thinking, okay, yeah, with all these independent Republicans, how are we going to create unity? So I want to hit on something here. Let's think about the things we can agree on.
Yes.
Our God-given inalienable rights. I think we can get there. We can all agree on that. We all can agree in defending the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of Texas. I think we all can get there. We all can agree on that. And then this is key. This is the key to a lot of things that are going on currently. Is the sovereignty of the border.
Yes.
So many things are tied to that. And we have to take a strong stand because the Constitution, if we do not have sovereignty on the border, the Constitution will fade. If we don't have a sovereign border, our election laws and our election integrity will fade. So election integrity is tied to border sovereignty and the controls.
So much is tied to it.
Oh,
I mean, so many.
Everything is tied to, well, even education. I mean, it is tied to that. I mean, just an easy example, it's not a negative or a positive, but just in a local school district up here, in a rural school district, we have to have 31 different languages or 31 different interpreters to teach the kids. And I mean, that's necessary. That's part of the economy. But that's a huge task for a small school district.
And I don't think it's that uncommon as you travel the state. That so many things, rural health care.
Oh,
so tied
to
our border situation.
We can get overwhelmed so easily. And our infrastructure is just not set up to migrate 5 million people in 3 years? We're just not, nobody's set up for that. And so
as a county chair, as a vice chair for the state, how will you, what are some things that you will be doing to support maybe our conservatives in Austin, to encourage them to,
All right, so we're gonna go a little bit. Everything's tied together in this world. We're all connected. So this is a very complex issue. So I'm just going to try and hit on the basics.
Sure.
So I talked about unity, the things that we can proceed forward on as a unified front. And border sovereignty is, I think, one of them, and election integrity. I think all those things I mentioned we can move forward with. But we have to be able to communicate, not only communicate up and down the political spectrum, from precinct chair, county chair, state SREC to state legislator, state senator, governor, and this is very key, and it's just a fact. So I don't know how else to put it, but used to your precinct chairs carried a lot of weight in the precinct, but with the media. And so much of the media going with the liberal sect, we have kind of been left out in the open with very little media support. So I think this is something, an initiative that I want to bring to the table, to the SREC and to the chair, is that let's think about doing a little bit out of the box. In other words, what if we started our own podcast as GOP TV or something along those lines, not only to communicate, but we got to remember communication is leverage. So the left wing, when they use the national news media, they're placing leverage on the conservative side of the spectrum.
So I know in raising a family, one person thought you're supposed to be somewhere at 3:00. Somebody else thought you're supposed to be there at 4:00. Whoever changed it to 4 didn't remember to tell the person at 3. And I think we do that in all the walks of life, and particularly in conservative politics. It seems that we don't communicate at the level that we need to communicate. Sometimes it's just lack of access, but other times it's simply not wanting to talk to somebody about something that we may not be on the same page with. But like I would tell my family, communication is a very important thing. And I think we have to be very intentional about our communication in our party. And I think the position that you're seeking is one of those people that will be key in that endeavor. Am I right?
Well, I'm right there with you that, we have to use all the levels of communication that we have access to. And data will point out that Instagram is a great way to communicate. The old Twitter, which is now X, is very good. Facebook is still hanging right in there as one of the top 5. Email as well. But everything seems to be instantaneous these days. So that communication, because I'm not going to sit around and twiddle my thumbs. We're going to be doing stuff. Right. And we're going to be out there visiting people. We're going to be out there knocking doors to do fundraising, because this communication, everything that we want to do, it takes resources. We have to have resources. We can't get this job done in communication or media without resources. We've got to have those. So we've got to engage the donors out there who are like-minded, who want to see us succeed. And so it's a challenge. We can do it, but we've got to get there. So one of the things that, one of my favorites is podcast news. And
that's what we're doing. Yeah,
there we are.
I love this that you're going to send this out to people, because they want to meet Kelly Giles.
Yeah,
he's running for vice chair. Do we want to vote for him?
Yeah. So podcast news is great. I think you can communicate very directly that way. But when we talk about that, it's not just Kelly Giles communicating, but we want to communicate where we're at with our lobbying efforts, because that's part of the vice chair as well, as being involved in lobbying when needed to be there. And, it's media creates leverage. And we talk a lot about, we need our elected officials to pull the wagon as far as party planks are concerned, and party platform. Well, that's one of the ways we can create that leverage, is by informing or getting the news out of what's coming up as far as legislation that we're going to be actively out there pursuing. And a lot of times just those amateur little videos, you can do on your smartphone, and then text out to everybody that, hey, this is who we met with today, and we're out here working to push this legislation and make sure these legislators, and I'm not a legislator.
Right. No.
I represent the Republican Party. And so I'm out here or pushing to get our information and our platforms through legislation. And
to be
that
a
means,
cohesive part of the process.
Yes,
yeah,
create.
Absolutely.
And if you want to have success, the first thing you got to do is create relationship. You can't just walk in and say, hey, we want this, this, and this. That doesn't go over very well. You've got to create that relationship first, create that unity that, hey, these are the things that we can agree on and we can move forward with, because the more things that you work on together, the more things come together.
Right. And I know we are going to be building relationships that week in May. I'm a delegate. You're a delegate.
That's right.
And I know that we're going to be down there meeting all the other delegates. And I'm sure you're going to be the guy with the cowboy hat, right?
Yep.
There won't be any other cowboy hats there, I'm guessing, right?
Well, there might be a few in Texas, but I am in the registered Angus cattle business, and I'm also we raise quarter horses as well. So this is pretty much normal gear for me on any given day.
Oh, I heard a phrase from you the other day that I had not, because we were talking about that you actually are involved in the cattle breeding, you're involved in the feedlots, you're involved in what was that phrase that you from?
Well, gate to plate.
Gate to plate.
We're involved
because
gate
you're also
to plate.
Processing and all types of things. So, so you will be in that attire. They can locate you hopefully and visit with you and ask you questions. And so, just take a couple of minutes here. Just wrap up. Talk to the people about why you want to do this and how they can help you to achieve.
Well,
that.
I think to get to know me, my mind thinks kind of two-handed. On the one hand, structure, order, and process, which is a big part of the Republican system. And we have to keep that in mind and adhere to that. But we also have to understand, if that's all that we're concerned about is structure, order, and process, we're not going to get the results we want. We have to think in terms of results, and then use the structure and order process to help us get there. Mm-hmm. And then on the right hand, I always say, in any results-oriented initiative, you have to have liberty. In other words, you got to have the parameters wide enough that you can go get the job done. So liberty is free will, free choice. And then transparency. So you're given the job, go get the job done, show us what you're doing and how you're doing it. And then the accountability is at the end of the cycle. If you did a good job, you get reelected. If you didn't, why, other things happen. Mm-hmm. But I think that's our Republican system. It's we have to have committees, and we have to have groups to set the parameters and to set the policy. But then we've got to make sure that the parameters are wide enough that the individual can go out with the liberty instruction part and get it done, because people get things done, not committees.
Right. Let me ask you this, Kelly. Is there a way that people that are viewing this now that they can contact you and visit with you maybe even before?
Oh, absolutely. Yes. I'm Kelly.Giles at RandallCountyGOP.com. And if you also go to my personal website, KellyGiles.org, and that's KELLYGILES.org. Our information is up there. I think, we've had great success here in Amarillo with fundraising. In one event, I think we raised $144,000 in just one event. They're back at the Lincoln Reagan dinner.
Mm-hmm. Great event. I was there. 750 people, such exposure to the Republican Party in this county.
Yeah, Eric Trump was there.
Oh, woo. Dan Patrick, and he was actually governor that night because Governor Abbott was out of town, or out of the state, and I believe we had a Texas Supreme Court justice there. Yeah. We had Ronnie Jackson, who's our U.S. Congressman. We had Kevin Sparks, who's our senator here in this district. We had some great recognition for this area. They were so complimentary what a great event it was. Well, and you were helping to head that up, and we appreciate that so much.
There were 5 groups involved, and we divided equally with all 5 groups. The High Plains Republican Women, which is a chapter of the Texas Federation of Republican Women, and then the Amarillo Republican Women, another club, and also the Conservative Patriots for Texas, another club. And then we divided with Potter County as well, which is our twin sister here in the Amarillo area. So it was a record amount of money raised. We had a great time. We raised influence for everybody concerned. Great, yes. And that's very important. I talk about, in business, creating leverage. And leverage is not necessarily a what I want to say. A lot of people think, well, that's a negative. No, it's not.
Oh no, leverage.
The electorate. Believe me, the electorate has a lot of leverage.
Right.
They don't like the job you did.
That's right.
You're hunting another job.
That's how it should be.
And so that's how our system works. And I think some of the things that we absolutely can't agree on again are our God-given inalienable rights, our desire to defend the Constitution of the United States and of Texas, and then our sovereignty as far as our border control and our election integrity. I think those are the foremost things on my mind. And as I talk around to different counties and different SD areas or Senate districts, that is what's on everybody's mind. Believe it or not, school issues are tied in with all of that. Economics are tied in with all of that. Jobs, everything's tied in with those things. And I think we can agree we need to move forward in unison on those issues. And those should be the priority. But I'll say this, I've enjoyed being in the Republican Party. I've enjoyed being a county chair. And I look forward to the opportunity to be vice chairman of the Republican Party of Texas. That would so fill my bucket, so to speak. And it's in my heart to do this. And I would appreciate everybody giving me consideration out there, and go to my website, kellygiles.org. And thank you, Connie, for
My pleasure.
interviewing me, and our behind-the-scenes guys over here, Cody. And we appreciate everybody, and thanks for getting this message out. And we'll see you at the convention the last full week of May.
I just want to encourage everyone, if you watch this video, you know a delegate, send it to them. They may have already received it, but make sure that they get it. Tell them to watch it. It's an important vote, and the delegates will be making this choice for vice chair coming up at this convention. And so please share this podcast, and please contact Kelly if you'd like online, and we just look forward to seeing you there.
Adios.